Habari Gani, Ujima, collective work and responsibility. Ujima is celebrated on December 28th, which is the third day or night of Kwanzaa. Again, Ujima is collective work and responsibility. To build and maintain our community together and to make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and to solve them together. Ujima reminds me of an African proverb that says, many hands make light work. And so when we work together, when we share the use of our hands and our skills, there is nothing that we can't do if we are organized and committed. So on this third day of Kwanzaa, on the day of Ujima, which is collective work and responsibility, think about the ways that you have showed up for your family and your community. How have you contributed your skills and your talents to make the world better, to make your community better? And how has your community showed up for you? So as a family, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to think about something that you can do to make a contribution to your community this year. One of the things I think about when it comes to collective work and responsibility, I think about community work days. When maybe it's someone who leads a school or a business owner, or it could be anyone where a family or groups of family may come together and contribute work. Here in Detroit, where I'm based, D-Town Farm is a magical and important space for our community where crops are grown. It's a community, it's a space of folks who are committed and care about land development and care about food production. And so before COVID hit, there were regular community work days where folks could come in and volunteer their time to help keep the farm going. So think about in your community, where can you lend a hand? Since we're virtual now, there may be some creative ways that you can pitch in. And so as a family, I want you to think about what's one project that you can do consistently over the course of the year that can help lighten the load of one of your community-based institutions. And so tonight, we again begin by lighting the unity candle, or the Umoja candle. And first, from it, we light our Kuji Chagalia candle. And today, we light our Ujima candle for collective work and responsibility.
Abarigani, Ujima, collective work and responsibility. It is day 3 of Kwanzaa, and for our activity, we are really excited that the way that we practice collective work and responsibility is that we take care of each other, we support each other, we love each other, and one way to do that is through food. Terrence, throughout this break, and since we've been at home together during COVID, he's actually really taken up a joy of cooking. He has been making breakfast. So he's gonna be like Chef Boyardee. And so for this activity, we actually have a cooking class and a cooking demo brought to you by Chef E. She's teaching us how to make roasted sweet potato tacos complete with your very own homemade salsa. So we're gonna try that out. We're gonna join the class and learn. She also has a chicken recipe for those who want to have a different protein substitute if you like. And if you're vegan, you can use different vegetables like mushrooms as your protein. Just a little bit about Chef E. this piece around collective work and responsibility, she really sees food as a way to support the collective and to take care of the community. And just for this last Thanksgiving, she worked to feed over 10,000 Detroiters, providing fully cooked Thanksgiving dinners and a kitchen appliance in partnership with Food Before Waste. And for Christmas, she just fed 6,000 Detroiters. So thank you and shout out to Chef E for cooking and supporting the community through food. Inviting you to get your food utensils ready, get your ingredients, and join this class. Lex and her family is actually going to be cooking along with with Chef E. So join the cooking class. Are you ready to cook it up?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get to the kitchen. Wash our hands first. Let's go.
My name is Chef E, or you can just call me E, it's fine. I am feeling really excited today. I'm really, really excited to make tacos with y'all. And my favorite thing to eat is gumbo.
I am Mommy, also known as Lex. How am I doing? I'm good. I'm excited to be cooking with my girls. And my favorite thing to eat is breakfast. So like pancakes, eggs, hash browns, shrimp and
Yes.
grits, anything breakfast is my favorite.
Hi, I'm Kaden, and how am I
Yes.
feeling? Excited to make tacos. I just hope I don't cry with onions. And my favorite thing to eat.
It's either pizza, pancakes, or Chinese food. So which one of
Yes.
those three?
My name is Ava, and I'm excited to cook tacos.
Hi, Ava.
Hi.
Are you excited to cook tacos?
Yeah. And my favorite thing to eat is pizza.
So before we get started, the first thing that we always want to do before we handle any food is wash our hands. So we're gonna go wash our hands really quick, okay? All right. Yes. So we got clean hands now?
Yeah!
Yes, everybody got clean hands. Okay. Yay, we got clean hands. That's awesome. So that's the first thing you do anytime before you ever cook is you make sure that you have clean hands, all right? So we don't want any dirt or anything like germs that's on our hands to get on the food that we're gonna cook. So we washed our hands. Awesome. Now, in order to get started, there are some things that we have to do before we actually start cooking. So the first thing that we want to do is preheat our oven because we are going to be using our oven today to cook our sweet potatoes, our corn, and our chicken. So our instructions say to preheat our oven to 400 degrees. So we want to make sure we do that.
Mommy's doing that.
Mommy is taking care of that. All right. And, all right. So what we're going to do next is called mise en place. So mise en place is this fancy French chef term for everything in its place. All right, that's all it means. So if someone says get your mise en place, it means to get everything that you're going to need to cook your dish. So you guys have the recipe. I'm going to call out everything that we need for each part of the dish, and we're just going to make sure that we have it somewhere close to us so that in the middle while we're cooking, we're not going, oh, let me go grab this out of the refrigerator. Oh, let me go grab this out of the cabinet. We have everything that we need. So the first thing is olive oil. Do we have olive oil or some kind of oil? What about a sweet potato? All right, what about salt? Black pepper? Okay, and then what about chili powder? And cumin. Are you guys using chicken today?
Yes.
Yeah.
What about paprika? What about garlic powder? And what about onion powder? And then corn. Do we have 1 ear of corn? So we have 4 tomatoes. Okay, what about a white onion? And then fresh cilantro, jalapeno. All right, and then lime. Do you have a fresh lime? Fresh garlic. Do you have one piece of fresh garlic? And then tortillas for your tacos. So now that we have all of our ingredients, now we got to make sure we have all of our equipment, because that's really important to making sure that we cook our tacos too. So the first thing we need is a baking sheet. All right, and then we're going to put aluminum foil on that. You don't have to use aluminum foil if you don't have to, but if you do, it makes for a better cleanup. All right, so after that, we need our chef knife and cutting board and towel. And then do we have some oven mitts or something to take our pan out of the oven, towels or oven mitts? And then we need a tablespoon and a teaspoon. We need 3 medium bowls. 1, 2, 3 medium bowls. So not anything too big, like this size or so. Now we need 1 small bowl. So something a little smaller. What about a fork and a spoon? What about a small skillet? A pair of tongs? If not, we can use a fork. All right. And then whatever you're going to eat your tacos on. So whatever plate or bowl you're going to put your tacos on. All right. So we have our baking sheet lined with our aluminum foil. Boom. Yeah. We ready to go. Okay. Now, we want to do is, so whenever we are in the kitchen, yes, we got our aluminum foil lined baking sheet. So whenever we are in the kitchen, we want to be very safe, because there are a lot of sharp things like knives in the kitchen, and there are a lot of hot things in the kitchen like stoves and ovens. So we want to make sure that we're always safe. So the first thing I want to teach you is how to properly set up a cutting board station so that you are safe when you are cutting. So the idea is to get a towel and wet it. Just wet a towel. Put that down on your, wherever your areas you're going to prep your food, wherever you're going to put your cutting board. And then put your cutting board on top of that. Now what that does, it helps to keep your cutting board in place so it's not sliding all around, because you don't want it sliding all around when you're cooking, when you're chopping stuff. All right, so we want to set that up just so our cutting board doesn't slide.
Yes. All set up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And the next thing is all set up. Yes. So now you guys know how to properly set that up whenever you cut anything so your cutting board isn't sliding around. The next thing is how to properly hold your knife so that you don't hurt yourself. Okay. So a lot of times we hold our knife kind of like this, where your hand is like right on the edge. What we want to do is we want to hold it a little closer to the blade so that we have a really good grip on it. So you almost take your index finger and your thumb and you pinch the blade right here by the handle, okay? And then your other 3 fingers, so these 3 fingers you're going to wrap around your handle, okay? So you're going to have your index fingers curled on the blade. The other side, your thumb, is going to be right here on the blade. So you're going to be holding your knife just like this. Can you see that?
Chop, chop, chop.
All right.
See?
Yep. So now you have a really firm grip of your knife. It's not going anywhere. All right. Whereas if you were holding it like this, there's a lot of give. You hold it closer, right? Not going to go anywhere. So this helps so that like it won't fall. Like you have just a lot of grip on that. Okay. And also I'm left-handed, so this might look a little weird. Now, this is the hand that you're going to use to hold whatever it is that you're cutting, right? So we don't want to cut the tips of our fingers off, but it's kind of easy to do sometimes if we don't hold it properly. So what we want to do is we want to curl our fingertips under. So we want to make sure our fingertips don't get cut. So we want to curl it under, also curl our thumb under, and that's how we're going to grip whatever it is that we're trying to cut. All right? Everything is going to be curled under.
Like this?
So, so if you want to make like a, yep, so it's almost like you're making a little house. Yep, so you're holding it, you're gripping it. So as you cut and your knife gets closer to your fingers, instead of it cutting your fingertips, it's going to hit the back of your knuckles. All right, so we want to get our fingertips out of the way. Yes. The first thing we're going to cut is our sweet potato. So whenever you cut anything, what we really want to do is we want to make it a flat surface, because again, we want to be safe. So how you make it a flat surface, I'll show you really quick. We're going to cut the tip of this end, and then we're going to cut the tip of that end. So that, and again, remember, curl your fingers under just to cut it. Okay. So now the end that had a tip, it doesn't have a tip anymore. It's flat now. So I can stand my sweet potato up. Okay. So it's just, we just cut this tip off. We cut another tip off so that we can just stand our sweet potato up by itself. Okay. Now there's two ways that we can cut this, again, to be safe. So we did make a flat surface. We made a flat surface on either end, all right? So we can stand it up. So what we could do is stand it up, and then just cut one side to make that side flat too. Okay. So I cut it. Now this side of my sweet potato is flat. Now it's completely flat on that side. So now I made another flat surface. So all we want to do is we want to go around and cut the side of our sweet potato to just make them all flat. So we cut one side. I'm going to cut another side. See, I cut that side to make it flat. Okay. We're going to do our other side. So I just cut that side to make it flat. And then we have one more side that we just need to cut to make flat. So now my potato has all the sides are flat. So now it doesn't matter what side you put it on, it's flat and it'll stay still. Okay. All right. And then now also, when you will, because we're going to dice these, I'm going to show you how we're going to dice these, but now the pieces they'll be nice and square wherever you cut it. So from here, all right, we're going to cut it in half long ways. Now how we're going to do that is we're going to form what we call a bridge. So our potato, we're going to have a bridge, so there's space in between our hand and our potato, just like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to put our knife in between, under our hand, on top of our potato, and we're just going to cut it in half. So now our potato should look like this.
Look like what?
Yep. Like how you have it.
Yep. Yeah? Awesome. Okay. So now we're going to take one half that we just cut, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do another bridge. We're going to put our knife in between our bridge and our potato, and we're going to cut it in half again.
My little chef over here has taken some, she's ahead of us, but look.
I see. Yes, those are beautiful. Oh my God. So yeah, so we can just keep dicing them just like that. So if you want to keep dicing them, let's just keep dicing them. So I'm going to cut my other half in half. So now I have 4 pieces, and then we're just going to take those and we're going to dice those. And when you're done, you can put those in one of your medium bowls. So now we will get our olive oil, and we're going to measure 1 teaspoon of olive oil, and we're going to put that in our bowl with our sweet potatoes. We're also going to add our half teaspoon of salt, half teaspoon of black pepper.
I'm take a picture. Okay, come bring it.
Put them all in there. Oh, wait.
There we go.
Yay. All right, so we have sweet potatoes. Do we have our olive oil and our salt and pepper?
Yep, it's in there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. And then we need 1 teaspoon of chili powder and 1 teaspoon of cumin in that bowl with our sweet potatoes. Okay, so there's a couple ways that you can do this. You can take a spoon and you can stir it. You can toss it, or you can get your fingers in there
I want to do
and
fingers.
toss it with your fingers. Yes. I like playing with my food, so I like putting my fingers in there and tossing it all together. So you got all those seasonings all on your sweet potatoes. Grab your baking sheet that you line with your aluminum foil, and then take your sweet potatoes and put them on just one side, a third of your baking sheet. Because we're gonna put our we're gonna put our corn and our chicken on that same baking sheet. So make a layer, lay them flat.
Put it on here.
All right.
With my hand.
I'm just gonna put that on our baking sheet. Yes. Yes, those look beautiful. Awesome. Okay. All right, so we're done with our sweet potatoes until we put those in the oven. So the next, we need to get out our corn. Where's our ear of corn?
Corn.
Corny.
Let me do this one.
Corn? Yes. Do y'all like corn?
Yes. Yes.
Y'all like corn? Yes.
Mhm.
I like corn too. Okay. So the corn kind of has a flat surface. So if it doesn't have a flat surface, then make sure that it has one. So if you want to cut off this edge so that you can stand your corn up. All right. So now it can stand up on its own.
She said cut off this edge.
She said if you don't have a flat surface.
Okay. So there's 2 different ways I cut corn, but I'm going to show you one way so that your corn kernels don't end up all over your countertop. All right. So we're going to lay our corn down. So instead of it standing up, we're going to lay it down. And then we're going to cut it just like we did our sweet potatoes. Where we cut one side, but when we cut that side, we're actually going to be cutting our kernels off, because that's what we want. We want to take our kernels off of our cob. So we're just going to lay it on its side and cut some of our kernels. We're going to cut those kernels off that one side. And then that side that we cut our kernels off, that's going to become our flat side that then we're going to lay down on our cutting board. All right, and then we're going to cut our other side. We're going to cut our kernels off the other side. And then we're going to lay that side down and keep turning it until we cut our kernels completely off of our cob. Yay. All right, so now those kernels are going to go in your other medium bowl. So I found it to be a good way so that your kernels don't end up all over the countertop. Because if you would have cut them standing up, that's what would have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Okay, so now that our kernels are in our bowl, to our kernels, so we now need to add 1 teaspoon of olive oil to our corn, just like our sweet potatoes.
Okay.
1 teaspoon. And then the recipe calls for a pinch of salt and a pinch of paprika. So just a small little pinch. We just have a little bit of corn plus, all of our other stuff is going to be really well seasoned. So we don't need a lot. And a pinch of paprika. Okay. And then y'all want to toss that And see, toss that around just like you did your sweet potatoes. Okay. So when we're done tossing, now we want to put our corn on the other side of our baking sheet and spread that out because we're going to put our chicken right in the middle. All right, so we have our sweet potatoes on one side, we have our corn. So now we're going to put our baking sheet over to the side again.
You want me to show you?
And the next thing we're going to do is oh, that's beautiful. Yes, I like it. I'm so excited.
Ava said it looks like a colorful rainbow.
Y'all making me so happy. Yes, I want it. It is going to look so beautiful. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do our seasoning blend, our spice blend for our chicken. So get our small bowl. We're going to get our small bowl out.
Okay.
And we're going to need our spices. We are going to need our chili powder, our paprika, our salt, the garlic powder, also the onion powder, the cumin, and the black pepper. We're going to need all of those spices.
Okay.
All right, so if we want to get started, we can measure in our small bowl. We're going to do 1 teaspoon of chili powder.
Already had it.
All right, so that's 1 teaspoon of chili powder going in our small bowl. After that, it is 1 teaspoon of paprika.
Those are added in there.
Okay. After our teaspoon of paprika, we're going to do 1 teaspoon of salt. After our teaspoon of salt, we will do a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder.
Okay.
After that, 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder.
Okay with it.
And then a 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. Yeah.
I thought they had them already. I went to go get PJs, I think.
He went to go. He's working right now.
And then a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper.
Done.
Already in there.
And you just made your seasoning blend for your chicken. All right. So you can toss that. So you can mix that up with a fork or a spoon, just so that it's all incorporated. And this is your super special seasoning for your chicken. Okay. So you got all that nice and mixed up.
So when are we gonna get the chicken ready?
So we're about to get the chicken ready now. So let's get our baking pan back out with our sweet potatoes and our corn.
No, keep mommy getting it.
Whatever space you have left that's empty is where you're gonna put your chicken. So I have an empty space right in the middle. I'm gonna put my chicken right there. All right.
It's okay.
So now that we have our chicken on our baking sheet, we're gonna take 1 more teaspoon of olive oil, and we're gonna pour that right on top of our chicken. And that's so that our seasoning can stick on top of that chicken. So if you wanna spoon it on top, if you wanna take your hands and put it on top, whichever way you want. And you don't have to use all of your seasoning blend. You can save some for later or to put on top of your tacos when they're done. But put as much as you feel will be necessary. We have our chicken that's seasoned, and then we have our corn that's seasoned, all on our baking sheet. Beautiful. All right, so now it's going in the oven. And I'll set the timer for 20 minutes. And we get to wash our hands again before we make our salsa. So let's go wash our hands. We need to get our tomatoes and dice them up as small as you want to make the salsa. So we're going to start cutting our tomatoes first. We're going to cut all 4 of them, and we're going to put them in our last medium bowl that we took out. So our diced tomatoes. Okay. So the next thing, so I have a pretty large white tomato. So oh, those are beautiful. So since I have a really large white tomato, I'm only going to use about 1/4 of this onion to add to my salsa. So how you want to cut that is so not this, the butt of the onion, you're going to leave that alone. But this, we're going to cut that off. We're going to leave the skin on for now because I'll show you how to cut that. We're going to go ahead and cut the tip of it off. And then we're going to lay it down. We're going to lay it down because we made a flat surface. So we're going to lay it down on that flat surface. Then using our bridge, we're going to now cut that in half. All right. So we have 2 halves of an onion, still with the skin on. Now that half, we're going to go ahead and peel the skin off. So it's a little easier to take the skin off when we cut it in half first. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and peel that quickly, or as quickly as possible. That half. So we still have a little bit of the butt here at the end, which is what you want to keep that. Now we're going to take that half onion and we're going to cut that in half. And that's what we're going to use for our salsa.
Got it.
Okay, so now we have 1/4. So this onion, we're going to cut horizontally. So we're going to cut it straight down to our cutting board. We're going to make like little slits all the way down, but we're not going to cut it all the way through to the butt. So I'm going to show you what I mean. So our onion should look like this, where it's cut, so it's sliced down, but it's not cut all the way through to the butt. So it's still connected, just like that.
Nice.
All right, so once we do that, then we're going to make 2 cuts vertically, all the way, we're not going to cut it all the way to the butt. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. One way, we're going to do another cut. So now our onion kind of looks like this.
Nice.
So we cut it both horizontally and vertically. All right. So once we do that, now we can start to cut it this way. So now we have little small dice.
Nice. They abandoned me because they didn't want their eyes to
Yes.
About
Onion.
I understand. And then one trick, so a trick to the onions not burning your eyes is you can actually put it in water um, before you have to start cutting them, and that'll help.
Beautiful.
All right. So once you cut your fourth of an onion, then you can go ahead and add that to your bowl with your tomatoes.
Mm-hmm. Fine.
Yay. So we got tomatoes and diced white onions
Beautiful.
for our salsa.
Mm-hmm.
Yay. Okay. I'm going to save the jalapeno for last, especially because I know you guys won't be adding jalapenos. So the next thing is 3 tablespoons of fresh cilantro. So I know there's some people that love cilantro and some people not so much. Lex, do you like cilantro?
I love it. Love, love, love,
Me
love.
too. I love cilantro. So, yes. So we're going to go ahead and just pinch our leaves off of our stem. And 3 tablespoons should be about 8 to 10 little stems full of leaves.
Okay.
So if you pull about 8 to 10 stems, and then all of those cilantro leaves, that should be about 3 tablespoons. So we're just going to pluck those leaves off of our stem, because we're going to need to chop those. Or since you love cilantro, you can add more if you want. And sometimes I do, because I love cilantro too.
Yeah, I definitely probably triple the cilantro.
Yes. And then we are going to garnish with some cilantro too, because I love cilantro that much.
Okay.
And once you get all those plucked, however many you so choose, you can just chop them. You can just do a rough chop. You don't have to do anything fine, or if you want to do it fine, you can. It's just up to you. All right. My cilantro is all chopped. And I'm just going to add that in with my tomatoes and my onions. We have those right on top. While you do that, I am going to go ahead and do my jalapeno. Unless you're done? Awesome. Yep, right on top. So we're going to now move on to our garlic. We're just going to take 1 garlic clove from the knuckle. So for those of you that just have 1 whole knuckle, an easy way to separate that is by placing this flat on your cutting board and then turning your knife to where it's flat and pressing it right on top. So just going to show you that really quick. Our garlic knuckle is right on our cutting board. We're going to make our turn our knife horizontal, and then we're going to press down on that to break this knuckle. Okay. Now once we do that, we're just going to take 1 clove from that knuckle, and that's what we're going to chop. So to get this skin off of this clove, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to lay it on our cutting board, turn our knife horizontal, and then press down on it. until we hear it crack. Now we have a peeled garlic clove, and we're just going to go ahead and rough chop that too.
Chopping garlic. Just a second. These tomatoes here. Gotta have two more baby. Is this what you work? Here you go. You gotta hold it.
Okay. So we're going to take our clove of garlic. We're going to add that to our bowl. Now that we have tomatoes, onions, cilantro, and garlic.
Can I have a cheese ball?
Okay.
Okay. Now what's left is we have this lime, right? So I don't know about your lime, but my lime is pretty tight. So if I cut it like this, I'm not going to get a lot of juice out. So the trick to getting as much juice of your lime as possible is to use kind of this part, so the palm, right underneath the palm of your hand, to roll it on your cutting board to loosen it up, to loosen all those juices out of it. So we're just going to roll our lime back and forth just to loosen that up. Just put some pressure on it.
Okay.
All right. So you should feel that it's not as tight anymore. It's a little loose. And then we want to cut our lime, but we want to cut it this way. So we don't want to cut it from tip to tip. We want to cut it in between that way. All right. So that we see the flesh. And then we're going to squeeze the juice of this one lime into our bowl with our all of our sauce ingredients. Okay. Now to this, we're going to just add 1 teaspoon of salt. And then you guys can stir that up. I'm going to go ahead and add my jalapeno.
If you want to come stir the salsa, Ava.
Oh, Ava. Well, let's stir the salsa.
So yeah, go ahead and taste that. Let me know if you think it's got enough salt or it's balanced enough. If you want to add some cilantro to that.
So would that be like a pico?
Yeah, so this is a pico. And then if you like put this in a food processor or a blender or anything like that, then you would get a little bit more of a salsa puree consistency.
Nice.
Yeah, right now it's more like pico. So yeah, that's up to you if you want to make it any finer. Like I said, if you want to puree it, put it in a blender or a food processor. I actually like to just put it in my Ninja. Yeah. So we got some fresh pico or salsa. What do you guys think of that?
Delicious.
Good. So my oven just went off perfect timing. And our chicken and our sweet potatoes and our corn should be ready. I'm gonna check the temperature just to make sure. It should be at 165. So if you want to do that, you can if you have a thermometer. Of course, if not, as long as your chicken is just cooked all the way through. But it should be cooked to 165. And so I'll just show you guys what it looks like. All right, so we have our sweet potatoes, our chicken is nice and cooked, and our corn is nice and brown. So we're gonna put that to the side and let that cool.
Oh, they wanted me to show you.
We have our, yes, it's so beautiful. It looks really good. So then we have our salsa that we just made. So we're all set to start building our tacos. So I'm gonna show you guys a couple of little tricks you can do to be fancy. You don't have to do any of this stuff. Lex, do you have a gas stove or electric?
Gas.
Gas. Oh, perfect. Okay. So since you have a gas stove, Lex, I don't know if you do it currently, but I like to just char my tortilla shells right on the fire.
Oh, on the bar?
Yes. So I will show you. I just turn my burner on, and so you can see my stove, my stove camera. I just take my tortilla and put it right there on the fire.
Oh, shoot.
And then just for a few seconds, it might start to puff up, or once it starts to brown and char, and then I just flip it, and then I do the same thing with all of them. Yep, so it got a nice little, got some color on there, and it'll put some heat to it. But yeah, I just like to char my my tortillas right here on my stove.
Shut up.
Yep, so now you real fancy.
You ain't gonna be able to tell me nothing.
Right, nothing, not nothing. All right, so that's two. Just gonna do my third one. All right, so I got my shells nice and charred. Okay. Is this dinner tonight for you guys?
Yes.
Yes, awesome. Okay. Now, Lex, do you have one more lime, or did you use all your lime for your salsa?
I have one more lime. Hold on 1 second. Let me.
Because I can show you another trick, and now you really be fancy.
Oh, I do have another lime. Okay.
Yes. Okay. All right, so that skillet that we have on our stove, we're gonna take another teaspoon of olive oil, put that in our skillet. And we're gonna turn our skillet on about medium high. Okay. We're gonna let that oil get nice and hot. So in the meantime, that lime that you have, the same way that you cut it to juice, you're gonna go ahead and cut it that same way. So we're gonna cut it straight down the middle.
Okay.
Okay. Now, once our oil is nice and hot, we're going to place our lime flesh down on our oil. So we're going to char our lime. Once our oil is nice and hot, we'll just give it
the inside of
to get hot
in the pan.
Yep, the inside of the lime is gonna go right down, flat down in the pan.
Got it.
All right, so our oil should be good and hot by now. So we're gonna go ahead and do that now. We're just gonna put them both flat down in our pan. And just put some pressure down so it stays down. So while that is cooking, now we're just gonna go ahead and cut up our chicken. And we're gonna start, we're gonna go ahead and start assembling our tacos. So I'm just gonna take my slices of chicken. I'm gonna add those to my taco. And you can dice them if you want. You don't have to keep them sliced. Add that to your tacos. So we have our chicken. Now I'm just gonna top that with our sweet potatoes. Grab some sweet potatoes and put that right on top. And then we're going to get our corn. We're going to put our corn right on top of there. And then on top of that, we're going to add our pico.
Yummy.
Yes. And then if you want, since you like cilantro just like me, you can take some fresh cilantro and just put that right on top. I do love me some cilantro. And then with that lime that we are charring, that lime should be ready to come off. So I'm going to turn that off. And now we have this beautifully charred lime. And we have our chicken, sweet potato, and corn tacos with charred lime. Yeah. Yes, you so fancy. You so fancy, Lex. I love it.